Hey everyone, welcome back to Tan's Top 10 channel. So a little over a year ago, I released my second Blu-ray collection video on this channel. And like I said in that video, I want to try to do a Blu-ray collection video about every year around this time. Kind of just show you guys what movies I've collected over the past year. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I have acquired a lot more movies in the past year, and at the end of the video, I will share with you the total number of movies that I own, only on Blu-ray and 4K. I don't really do DVDs. Also, if you hear a noise in the background during the video, I do have my puppy Gizmo down here shooting the video with me, so he might be running around in the background. If you hear a noise, it's probably him. Anyways, this is going to be a really long video, so if you want, go grab some snacks, grab some drinks, and let's get started right away. So the way I organize my movies, I do the numbers first. Any movie that starts with a number, do that first, and then I go alphabetized order. So let's get started right away with first film. First up, we got 8mm. This is a really fucked up movie, really weird, but it's got an awesome Nick Cage performance. Joaquin Phoenix is also really good. It's actually got a pre-stacked cast. Joaquin Phoenix, James Gandolfini, Peter Stormare, Anthony Heald as that shithead guy from Silence of the Lambs. He's in here as well. Really messed up movie. Not everyone's gonna like it, but it's fine. 10 Cloverfield Lane. 10 Things I Hate About You. Probably my favorite high school comedy that I can think of. Awesome performances by Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles. Next up, we got 12 Angry Men, the Criterion Collection. I watched this for the first time last year. This is one of the best, one location movies ever made. This movie is incredible. Love it. Awesome dialogue and great performances, especially, what's his name? VJ Cobb. He is incredible in this. Got 13 Hours, one of Michael Bay's best movies. 13 Sins. I've heard some good things about this. I want to check it out, just haven't yet. And it's got Ron Perlman, so big fan of that. 21 and Over. This is my wife's movie. I have seen it. I do not like it, and I honestly don't really remember anything about it. Got 21 Bridges. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. I have yet to check it out, though. Two of my favorite comedies of all time, 21 and 22 Jump Street. Then we got 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later. I do prefer 28 Weeks Later, but they're both good. You got 30 Days of Night, 40-Year-Old Virgin, 50-50, 101 Dalmatians. You got 300 and 300 Rise of an Empire. Can't remember. I've only seen this one. I've not seen this one yet. Should probably watch it. 3:10 to Yuma, an awesome remake directed by James Mangold, the same guy who directed Logan. This is an awesome Western. Check it out if you have not. One of my favorite romance movies of all time. 500 Days of Summer. Love it. Movie I think is a little overrated. 1917. I really like this movie, but excuse me. If it wasn't for the whole one shot concept, I don't think this movie would be talked about as much as it is. It's a fine movie. I just don't really have any desire to really rewatch it. And also, spoiler alert for the movie if you haven't seen it. Just by watching the trailers, I kind of figured that the guy from Game of Thrones, the second person that goes on the mission, I figured he was gonna die pretty early on in the movie because most of the trailers just shows this guy running around. So you're like, the other guy's probably gonna die. Anyways. And then the last up in the numbers is a movie I hate. 2012. Movie sucks. All right, moving on to the A's. First up, we got Abominable. This is not the DreamWorks movie that came out a couple of years ago. This is a movie that I saw on the Sci-Fi Channel. And I remember kind of liking it. It's like a group of girls in this, I believe he's a guy in a wheelchair, kind of like Rear Window, are like at these two cabins. And they start getting attacked by like a Sasquatch, and it's from what I remember, it's enjoyable but not a great movie. So I wanted to rewatch it, and surprisingly, they had it on Blu-ray. My Blu-ray for Absolute Power is missing. I got to find the disc for that. But Absolute Power, I love Clint Eastwood and Gene Hackman and Ed Harris. Damn, this is a stacked cast. Absolute Power, yeah. You got The Accountant, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. I rewatched this a couple months ago on Disney Plus, and my wife walked in about halfway through the Mr. Toad part, and she's like, "What the fuck are you watching?" Because it was very really weird. I think it was the scene where the horse dresses up as like a woman to get Mr. Toad out of prison. That was the weirdest sentence I've ever said. Anyways, and this is just all nostalgia for me. I remember renting this movie all the damn time. But I will say that the last act of both of Mr. Toad and Ichabod, incredible acts. I love them, especially the Headless Horseman. You got Airplane. You got Aladdin. And Aladdin, I have not watched this yet. Don't really have any desire to, but I think I got that for really cheap. I got two Alfred Hitchcock collections. This one's Blu-ray and this one's 4K, but this one includes North by Northwest, which this one does not, so it's kind of upsetting. The only one of these I have seen is Rear Window. It was a great transfer. Rear Window, really good movie. Not as great as I was expecting, but it's a movie from what, like the 50s, so it's not going to age quite as great. You got Alice in Wonderland, but that looks really weird with the light reflecting off it, but whatever. You got the Alien Anthology. This includes all 4 Alien movies, and then I also have Alien on 4K. Apparently this is really hard to find with a slipcover, but I found it not too long ago at Best Buy with a slipcover for like $13, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm getting that. And then we got Alien Covenant, which I really like. I know a lot of people were disappointed by that, but I thought it was better than Prometheus. You got Alita Battle Angel. I have yet to watch this, but I've heard excellent things. I'm really excited to, and I bet it looks amazing. All the President's Men, an awesome investigation movie with an awesome script by William Goldman. American Hustle. We got American Pie and American Reunion. I grew up watching the American Pie movies, so I gotta find American Pie 2 and American Wedding on Blu-ray. If they are on Blu-ray, I'll try to find them. But I have a lot of fun with those movies. We got this awesome steelbook from Best Buy, American Psycho. I love this. Woo! That's pretty cool. And hey, Paul. American Psycho, a movie I need to rewatch, but I remember loving it the first time I watched it. Probably my favorite Christian Bale performance. American Sniper, movie I don't really have any desire to ever rewatch. I have the Arrow version of An American Werewolf in London on 4K. I have yet to watch this, but this is an awesome set. Arrow does fantastic work with their 4K sets. Anaconda, one of my favorite guilty pleasures of all time. Rewatched this like last year. It's just a blast. And I hate snakes, but that movie is just a lot of fun. Plus, you get to see Owen Wilson get eaten by a snake. Oh, wow. Anchorman 1 and 2. Anchorman 1, one of my favorite comedies of all time. Angel Has Fallen. Animal House. All the Pretty Horses. This is directed by Billy Bob Thornton and also has Matt Damon and Penelope Cruz leading it. So wanted to check it out. It seemed like a pretty cool Western. Almost Famous. You got Alpha Dog and Assault on Precinct 13. I have seen Alpha Dog. Don't really remember too much about it. And Assault on Precinct 13. I've heard good things about it. I know the original was directed by John Carpenter. We got both Amazing Spider-Man movies. Not a fan of either of these. Don't really like them. American Beauty, movie that's really awkward now. American Gangster. I really want to watch this. I love Ridley Scott, and I heard it's one of his more underrated movies. Pretty sure some of those movies were out of alphabetical order, but whatever. We'll keep moving on. You got Annabelle, the first one. Haven't watched it yet. Haven't heard great things. Annabelle Comes Home. Didn't really like that one either. I do really like the second one. I need to find it with a slipcover. You got Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp. The Apartment. I believe this is Best Picture winner. Yep, Best Picture winner. You got Apocalypse Now on 4K. Awesome set. Apocalypto, directed by Mel Gibson. This is a really, really cool movie if you haven't checked it out. Aquaman, a movie I love. Kind of weird, the whole Amber Heard, Johnny Depp. I'm not going to get into that. But I really like this movie. I liked it the first time I saw it in theaters. I had a blast with it. Everyone was saying like it was not great, and the whole like, oh, you got octopuses playing drums. That's so stupid. I'm like, yeah, it's so stupid. It's awesome. Like that's fucking. I don't know. Sounds like a lot of fun. Argo, fuck yourself. Cheaters. Aristocats, Armageddon, Army of Darkness, Arrival, The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. Awesome movie. The A-Team. Got all three Austin Powers movies. Apparently they're making a fourth one. Not really looking forward to that. Mike Myers doesn't really have a great track record right now. Avatar, which we are now getting a sequel to. We have proof. We have a trailer of Avatar 2. I actually really like the trailer. I'm excited for it. I like Avatar. I don't get all the hate I don't think it deserves all the hate it gets. Sure, the story is familiar, but it's still a good movie. Avengers Age of Ultron, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. Avengers Endgame, one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. And the final A, we got The Aviator. I have not watched this yet, and it's 170 minutes, but I want to because it's Martin Scorsese and Leo DiCaprio. Sounds awesome. All right, moving on to the B's. First up, Babadook, awesome horror movie. Baby Driver. Backdraft, pretty fun 90s guilty pleasure. Back to the Future trilogy. I got to upgrade to 4K on those. You got, how should I hold this? I don't know. Bad Boys 1 and 2, that's the 4K set. And then we got Bad Boys for Life. Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. Bonkers ass movie. You got Bad Moms and A Bad Mom's Christmas. Bad Moon. Bad Santa. Bambi. The Bank Job. I love heist movies, and I really want to check it out. I've actually heard it's one of Jason Statham's better movies. Basic Instinct. Love this movie. Waiting for a 4K. I know overseas they got a 4K of this. So waiting for one in America. And then Basic Instinct 2, which is a shit movie. Terrible. Fucking awful. It's not even like so bad it's good. It's just bad. But I was intrigued to watch it. All right. We got a lot of Batman movies here. So first up, we got Batman the movie from 1966. Adam West. We got all four of the original Batman movies. You got Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin. I need to get a different setup here because I don't like that's broken. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Got this badass thing. The Batman, the most recent one. Got the Best Buy Steelbook 4K. That's awesome. Whoa. You got Batman the Killing Joke. Did not like that movie. It was like half a good movie. You got both Batman the Long Halloween Part 1 and Part 2. Really want to sit down and check these out because I've heard excellent things about it. And I don't even really know what the Long Halloween storyline is really about. Never read it or anything, so interested in that. Batman The Dark Knight Returns Deluxe Edition. I love this. This is awesome. One of my favorite Batman movies. Animated, live action, anything. Love it. Batman Under the Red Hood. Great animated movie. If you've played Arkham Knight, this is kind of like the movie version of that. Batman Assault on Arkham. I have seen this. Don't really remember too much about it. Isn't it like the one where Deadshot and Harley Quinn fuck? Can't remember. Batman Death in the Family. This is like an interactive movie. It was really cheap, so I wanted to pick it up. I don't really know anything about it. And I believe that's the last Batman. Yep, last Batman is Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. Have not seen it yet. You got Battle Royale, awesome foreign film. Baywatch, a movie that I heard is not great, but my wife and I like to sit down and watch stupid comedies like that. She does not really like action movies or anything, so dumb comedies or good comedies is pretty much all we can really watch together. Beauty and the Beast, the good Beauty and the Beast, the terrible Beauty and the Beast. I do not like that remake. A lot of people do. I don't get it. Bedknobs and Broomsticks. This is kind of like the mixture of live action and animation. I love the animation from this time period of Disney, so I want to pick that up. I have actually never seen it. Beetlejuice. Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. Is that Sidney Lumet? I think. Yep, Sidney Lumet. Whoa! The Before trilogy. I still haven't seen this, guys. Still haven't. I guess I'm way behind on that. Beginners. Behind Enemy Lines. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. This is a really cool like mockumentary horror movie about a guy who wants to be a slasher. It's pretty funny. Could have been a little bit better, but for what it is, it's a good time. Beowulf. I remember being so excited for this movie when I first heard about it. And then I bought the DVD, and I didn't know that this was going to be like animated or whatever Robert Zemeckis likes to do. And I was really disappointed by that, but it's been a while since I've seen it, so I wanted to pick it up and check it out. I haven't yet, but I remember that movie just not really working for me. Better Watch Out, a really cool like Christmas slasher horror movie. Big Hero 6, The Big Lebowski, Big Miracle. It's my wife's. Still haven't seen it, but it's got what is it? Ted Danson, so and John Krasinski. Big Sick, Big Trouble in Little China, Billy Madison, Birds of Prey. Movie I like. I definitely don't hate it as much, like dislike it as much as everyone else. Seems a lot of people just hate on that movie. I thought it was good in theaters. I just haven't rewatched it since. Birdman, Black Book. This is Paul Verhoeven. I wanted to check this out. I've heard good things about it. I heard it's not like a movie you're going to watch multiple times, but I heard it's a good movie, so I wanted to check it out. The Black Cauldron. Rewatched this not too long ago. This is actually a pretty hard Blu-ray to find. This is like what the Disney exclusive club or whatever it's called. I rewatched this. This is a big nostalgia movie for me. I watch it all the time on VHS. Not a great movie, but it's all nostalgia for me. Black Hat. I have not heard good things about this, but it's Michael Mann, who I love as a director, so I'm excited to check it out. Black Hawk Down, Black Mass, Black Panther, Black Rain, Black Swan, Black Widow, Blade Trilogy. Black Widow, didn't really like that movie. It's a movie that should have came out, 4 or 5 years before it actually did. We got Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049, both on 4K. Two of my favorite movies of all time. Love both of them. Blair Witch. I have not seen the original. This one I heard decent things of, and I like the director Adam Wingard. He directed one of my favorite movies of all time, The Guest. Blockers, a movie that I actually enjoyed a lot more than most people, I guess, because it seems like not a lot of people really like that movie. Blood Diamond, Blood Father, Blood Simple. This is the Coen brothers directorial debut. I rewatched, or not rewatched it. I watched it for the first time a couple months ago. I liked it, but I didn't love it. It was some of the characters I just didn't really get behind. Who's the Emmett Walsh? He is awesome in this. If you've seen No Country for Old Men, he's kind of like a precursor for Anton Chigurh. He's awesome in this. Really funny, but also really menacing. You got Frances McDormand. She's awesome as well. Just some really kind of weird decisions, and not a movie I'm really gonna ever return to. I don't think. Blue Ruin. Got a triple pack here: Body of Lies, Edge of Darkness, and Pride and Glory. Um, I feel like I've seen like all these movies on Stars or HBO back in the day, but it's been a long time for all of them. Bohemian Rhapsody. Don't like that movie. Bolt. Bone Tomahawk. This movie's fucked up. One of my favorite movies of all time. Boogie Nights. Booksmart. Boondock Saints and Boondock Saints 2, All Saints Day. I watched those a lot in high school. Haven't watched them since, so don't really know how well they hold up. The Bourne trilogy. This has The Bourne Identity, The Bourne Supremacy, and The Bourne Ultimatum. Boyhood. Boys in the Hood. Breakfast Club. Brick. Bridesmaids. Bridge of Spies. Broadcast News. Broken Arrow. Brother Bear 1 and 2. Kind of weird that Phil Collins did soundtracks to 2 Disney movies, especially within such a short period of time, but whatever. Bucket List. A Bug's Life. Bullet to the Head. Directed by Walter Hill, same guy who directed The Warriors. Bumblebee. Burn After Reading. We got The Burning, 80s slasher. I heard decent things about it, and I'm pretty sure Tom Savini did the makeup effects on that movie. Pretty sure. And the final B, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, one of my favorite westerns of all time. Love it. All right, moving on to the C's, we got, well, this is in here for Cabin in the Woods, but we got The Possession, Cabin in the Woods, and Sinister. I've yet to see The Possession. The other 2 ones I like a lot. Caddyshack. Candyman. I do not have the remake, reboot, whatever you want to call it. I saw it in theaters. I thought it was fine, but the more I think about that movie, the less I like it. We got Captain America, the First Avenger, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and Captain America, Civil War. Love all those movies. Captain Marvel. I've only seen it once. Don't really have any desire to watch it again. Captain Phillips. The Card Counter. This is directed by Paul Schrader, the guy who wrote Taxi Driver. So it's pretty awesome. I heard good things. I want to check it out. Carlito's Way. Casino. Casino Royale. Castaway. The Cell. I don't really even know what this movie's about, but I used to work with a guy, super nice guy. He was a kind of a big movie buff like me, and he said this was his favorite movie of all time. And I remember him trying to describe it to me, and I'd never even heard of it. So I found it for cheap, bought it. I've yet to check it out, but I heard it's really weird. Central Intelligence. Chappie. Chasing Amy. Oh yeah, that was satisfying. Chef. Chernobyl Diaries. This is a found footage movie that I heard is terrible. I think I bought this right after watching the HBO show Chernobyl, and I just kind of wanted like another movie or something about it. And I heard this one's terrible, but it seemed like fun, I guess. Children of Men. Child's Play. This is the remake, reboot. I like this movie. I wish we would be able to get a sequel to it, because I think a sequel would be even better than this. I think the design of Chucky is terrible, but Got some good kills, and it's enjoyable enough. Giz, can you stop, buddy? Chinatown, one of the best noir films of all time. Really like this movie, and I think we're getting a 4K of that, so that'd be an awesome looking 4K. I got these two movies pretty much for nostalgia. Got Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and Prince Caspian. I remember seeing Prince Caspian in theaters on like a field trip after school. I really enjoyed both of these from what I remember, but it's been a long time. And both these movies are almost like 2.5 hours long, so that's pretty insane. But I I remember really liking them, but like I said, it's been a while. We got the Chucky collection. This includes from, excuse me, the first Child's Play all the way up to Cult of Chucky. I've only seen the first three. I have yet to see the other other four, but it's actually a pretty decent franchise so far from what I've seen. Cinderella, and the big one, Citizen Kane on 4K. That's the Criterion Collection. City Lights, Clerks, and Clerks 2. There we go. Got Cliffhanger. You got Sylvester Stallone dangling off a cliff. Clueless. That's a pretty cool steelbook. I like that. Cobra. Coco. Coco is a movie that I feel like I never want to watch again because I loved it. It's an awesome movie, but goddamn is it sad. And I don't like to be that sad. Cold Mountain. This is the same guy who directed The English Patient. I watched The English Patient a couple months ago, and I've always wanted to check this out because it's like a Civil War kind of epic movie, I guess. Kind of like a romance in there too. So I wanted to check it out. Cold Pursuit. Just rewatched this like 2 weeks ago. Collateral. Fucking holds up so damn well. This is like a perfect movie for me. I love this movie. It's like a 2 hour awesome action thriller and probably my favorite Tom Cruise performance. I love the fact that he plays a villain in that. I wish he'd play more villains. The Collector. Come and See. Commando. I know there's like a, I don't know if it's a director's cut or just like an unrated cut, but I know there's one out there, a version of that, and I want to get it because I know it's a lot more violent than this one. This one kind of cuts out a lot of. It's still awesome. I mean, it's Commando. It's awesome, but I think it cuts out some of the gorier parts. Con Air. Conan the Barbarian. I've yet to watch that, but you got James Earl Jones as the villain, so that's pretty cool. Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. This is directed by George Clooney, and it's got an early Sam Rockwell performance as well. This is 2002. So, yeah, that is early Sam Rockwell. One of my favorite horror movies of all time, The Conjuring. Love it. The sequel, Conjuring 2. Really like this one. A lot of people say this one's better than the first one or scarier than the first one. I don't think so, but I think it's still a really good horror movie. And The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. This was fine. It's not nearly as good as the first two. It's probably because it's not directed by James Wan, but it's fine. I don't know. Constantine, got Keanu. The Conversation, directed by Francis Ford Coppola with Gene Hackman. I really want to check this out because I love Francis Ford Coppola as director, and Gene Hackman is one of my favorite directors. I think he directed this the same year he directed Godfather Part 2, so that's pretty crazy. Cool Hand Luke. Cop Shop. This was a movie that came out last year, I believe. This is a pretty fun, like, little action thriller. It's nothing great, but it's fun. I'd say like a solid 3 stars out of 5. The Counselor. Courage Under Fire. Cowboys and Aliens. God damn, I just got a weird collection here. Crash, the David Cronenberg one, right? David Cronenberg. Crash. Yeah. Crawl, pretty solid, like horror, fun thriller. I wish we got more movies like this where they just like got like creature features, like solid creature features. I wish we got one at least like every year. That'd be awesome. I don't know, throw like fucking alligator, snakes, spiders, sharks. Do something fun like that every year. Make sure it's like R rated and bloody though. The Crazies, Crazy Stupid Love. Got Creed 1 and Creed 2. Crimson Tide. Love this movie. You got Tony Scott directing with Gene Hackman and Denzel Washington. This is just an awesome, like intense kind of action thriller. But goddamn, Tony Scott is one of my favorite directors of all time. He makes movies that just fucking move. There's always something happening in a Tony Scott film. Like there's never just a shot that there's just nothing happening. There's always either smoke in the background, lights flickering, people are just sweating. It's just everything's so fast paced and I love it. The Crow. Cruel Intentions. Really wanted to like this movie, but it was not great at all, really. Sarah Michelle Gellar is good in it. I mean, she's doing a good performance. And the last C is The Cursed. I just picked this up the other day. This is like a werewolf movie, I believe, set in old times. I heard good things. I remember seeing the preview for this in theaters and thinking like, oh shit, that looks awesome. I want to check that out. And it's got Boyd Holbrook, who may or may not be the new Indiana Jones. I'd be fine with that. I think Boyd Holbrook's an awesome, underrated actor. All right, moving on to the D's. We got the Dark Knight trilogy, Dawn of the Dead remake, Daybreakers. I remember hearing about this movie back when it first came out. It seemed like a really cool concept about like the whole world is pretty much vampires. There's few humans left, and there's pretty much a blood shortage. So they kind of have to find a substitute. And it's got an awesome cast. You got Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe, and Sam Neill. So I'm excited to check that out. Days of Thunder kind of got on Tom Cruise action kick with Top Gun Maverick coming out. Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2. Dead Poet Society. Dead Silence. Dead Snow. I'm pretty sure it's like a German like zombie film. It's really dumb, but a lot of fun, and I got it for really cheap, so I want to check it out. The Dead Zone, David Cronenberg, got Christopher Walken and the hell's his name? Martin Sheen. Wow, couldn't even think of his name. Martin Sheen. I heard this movie's awesome, based on a Stephen King novel. Deep Blue Sea, Long Kiss Goodnight, and Snakes on a Plane. I have seen all three of these movies. Deep Blue Sea, guilty pleasure fun. Snakes on a Plane, guilty pleasure fun. Long Kiss Goodnight is actually a pretty good movie, pretty solid. Deep Cover, Deep Rising, one of my favorite guilty pleasures of all time. Deepwater Horizon. The Deer Hunter, finally checked that out. It's pretty damn good movie. Not as great as I thought it'd be, but really, really good. Deja Vu, like I said, Tony Scott. Deliverance, Squeal. Demolition Man, Den of Thieves, love heist movies. That's a pretty fun one. Departed. The Descendants. The Descent, still have to check that out. Despicable Me 1 and 2. Detective Pikachu. Devil's Advocate. This is a weird-ass movie. Checked it out a couple months ago. It's way too long, but it's pretty fucking enjoyable. Really weird. The Devil's Own. I want to check this out because you got Harrison Ford and Brad Pitt. So I heard Brad Pitt's doing like a terrible Irish accent in that movie, though, so that seems like a lot of fun. Devil's Rejects, movie I never plan on rewatching. Diary of Anne Frank. I always forget I have this movie. I don't know why. I think it came in like a movie pack thing that I had. Got Die Hard 1 on 4K. And then we got the Die Hard 4 film collection. This has first, second, third, and Live Free or Die Hard. I do not own Die Hard 5. I've actually never seen it because I have never heard good things about it. So, don't really plan on watching it. District 9, one of my favorite movies of all time. Love it. Disturbia. Django Unchained. Do the Right Thing. Doctor Sleep. Doctor Strange. I actually have yet to see Doctor Strange 2. Just kind of, I don't know, kind of burnt out on the MCU. I haven't watched any of the MCU shows yet. I've watched like 4 episodes of WandaVision, then it kind of just fell off. I haven't finished any of the MCU shows, so just kind of MCU'd out. Kind of want something new, something fresh. Dodgeball, Dog Day Afternoon, Dog's Purpose. I don't know why I own that. I think my sister got that movie and it just got added to my collection. I'm never gonna watch it because I love dogs, favorite animals, and I don't want to watch a movie where a dog dies over and over again. That sounds really depressing. Dog Soldiers, Don John, Donnie Brasco, and We Own the Night. I have seen Donnie Brasco. That was a pretty fun gangster movie with Johnny Depp and Al Pacino, directed by Mike Newell, who directed like what the fourth Harry Potter movie. Really, really cool movie like that. Don't Breathe and Don't Breathe 2. Doomsday. Bram Stoker's Dracula. This was a really, really like gothic, romantic, operatic horror movie about Dracula with a fantastic Gary Oldman performance. Probably should have been nominated. Holy shit, is this awesome! And you got Francis Ford Coppola doing the directing, and Anthony Hopkins in this is the total badass. Like him as Van Helsing, so cool. Drag Me to Hell. Speaking of Sam Raimi, I gotta sit down and watch that. I've heard excellent things about Drag Me to Hell, and I've owned it for a long time. Just gotta sit down and watch it. Dragged Across Concrete. Dread on 4K. Drive. The Drop. Due Date. Duel, Steven Spielberg's first movie. Dumb and Dumber 2, a movie I remember laughing a lot in theaters when I was like, it came out when I was high school. So I remember liking it a lot, but I haven't watched it since. Probably does not hold up at all. Dumbo. Dune. Fuck yeah. Can't wait for part 2. Is that next year? I think that comes out. And the last D, Dunkirk. One of my favorite war movies of all time. Love it. Moving on to the E's. We got Eastern Promises. Awesome David Cronenberg movie. Easy A. The Edge. I remember watching this when I was younger with my dad and my brother. This movie scared the fuck out of me. You got Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin getting a plane crash with a couple other guys. Get stranded in the wilderness, and you got a grizzly bear that's like tracking them down. And I remember being fucking terrified of the bear. The grizzly bear scared the hell out of me. But I remember it being a pretty cool movie too. Edge of Tomorrow. Live, Die, Repeat. All You Need Is Kill. Whatever you want to call it. We got a 4K coming out of this, so might have to upgrade. I love that movie. You got El Camino, Breaking Bad movie. I actually have yet to watch that. Elf. Elle, another Paul Verhoeven movie that I want to watch because I really like Paul Verhoeven as director. I know it's not a movie I'm going to rewatch, maybe ever, but did want to check it out because I heard it's really good. And you got Isabelle Huppert, who I heard is really, really good in that movie. Elysium, pretty underrated movie. Elysium's pretty good, actually. Emperor's New Groove and Kronk's New Groove. Encanto, really, really good Disney movie that came out last year. It's got one of the best soundtracks in recent Disney movies, but the actual movie I didn't really like as much as everyone else. I actually liked Disney's other movie that came out last year, Raya and the Last Dragon. I like that way more than Encanto, but Encanto's still fun. Plus, the music, it's just amazing. End of Watch. Enemy at the Gates. Rewatched this a couple months ago when I wasn't feeling great. It's not a great movie. I'd probably give it like 2.5 stars. I feel like they focus way too much on the romance when all I want is Ed Harris and Jude Law to be like fucking going cat and mouse together against snipers or whatever. But anyways, Enemy of the State, another Tony Scott movie that is just, this is like one of the most fast-paced movies I've ever seen. Holy shit, this movie does not stop moving. Um, you got awesome Gene Hackman performance. That's kind of like Gene Hackman, like we've never seen him before. He's kind of like a nerd in this movie, but really good performance by him. Will Smith, kind of weird to talk about now, but he's really good in this as well. Fucking stacked cast. I love that movie. It was a lot of fun. The English Patient. Watch this like 2 months ago. This movie is good. It's not great. I don't think it deserved to win Best Picture, especially over Fargo, but I did enjoy it. I thought the love story between these two characters was actually the most interesting part. Everything that took place in like the modern times of this movie, I was not invested in at all. I wish the movie would just focus on these two. And she, spoiler alert, has one of the most messed up deaths I've ever seen in a movie, where she's pretty much just like gets forgotten about in a cave and like has to like starve to death. It's kind of fucked up. It's kind of sad. Anyways, Eraser, Escape from LA, Escape from New York, E.T. Extraterrestrial. Never seen it actually. Everyone's least favorite movie of all time, Eternals. Movie I thought that was fine when I saw it in theaters. I definitely didn't understand all the hate it was getting. Is it my least favorite Marvel movie? No. I definitely think there's other Marvel movies that are worse, but I mean, yeah, it's kind of disappointing, but it's fine. Event Horizon. This is a really fun sci-fi horror movie, kind of like in the same vein as Alien, but a lot of fun and some pretty cool makeup work too. Everest, The Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and then we got Evil Dead the remake from 2013. This is the unrated version, which the rated version was already pretty fucking brutal, so this is kind of excited to check it out. Ex Machina, love this movie. Executive Decision. This is the movie that's famous for having Steven Seagal die in it. The Exorcist. And the last E, The Expendables, which I'm pretty sure this is the first Blu-ray I ever owned. I believe I got this for Christmas from my parents because I really liked this movie when it first came out. It's a lot of dumb fun now. And I'm pretty sure this is the first Blu-ray that's ever been in this collection, so this holds a special place in my heart. All right, kicking off the Fs, we got Face Off, The Faculty, The Family. I got this really cheap. I didn't know this was directed by Luc Besson, the same guy who directed Leon the Professional, but it's got a really good cast, and it's kind of like a mob movie, so I was interested in it. Ha ha ha, yes, The Fanatic. Got John Travolta playing a guy named Moose in a movie directed by Limp Bizkit's Fred Durst. It's a lot of fun. We got the first two Fantastic Beast movies. I bought these because my wife and I watched all the Harry Potter movies and these two like last year. Didn't really like these movies. I don't really like Eddie Redmayne, and I'm just not invested in the story, and I did not see the new one. Don't really have any desire to either. Kind of forgot what actually happened in those movies. Fargo, one of my favorite movies of all time. Absolutely adore it. We got, this big bitch. Fast and Furious collection. This is the first 8 movies on 4K. And then we also have F9, The Fast Saga. Hated this movie when I saw it in theaters. I was actually really excited for this movie because I like the Fast and Furious movies. I grew up with them. And all I wanted was a big, dumb action movie. But this, you can only be so big and you can only be so dumb. Goddamn. And this movie is 2.5 hours long. Yep, 2.5 hours long, director's cut. Jesus. What's wrong with 2-hour movies? Seriously, this movie should not exceed 2 hours, but goddamn was it long. So anyways, yeah, fuck that movie. Not excited for any more. Fault in Our Stars. Fear, pretty fun little thriller with Mark Wahlberg. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Few Good Men. You're goddamn right I did. Fifth Element, speaking of Luc Besson. Gotta check that out yet. Fight Club. The Fighter, a movie I don't really ever feel like rewatching. Finding Nemo, one of my favorite Disney or Pixar movies. Finding Dory, probably my least favorite Pixar movie. I do not like that movie. The Firm, one of the best casts I've ever seen in a movie. This movie has Tom Cruise, Gene Triplehorn, Ed Harris, Holly Hunter, Hal Holbrook, David Strathairn, fucking, did I say Gene Hackman? Probably didn't. And Wilford Brimley. This movie is fucking stacked. And you got Dean Norris and Tobin Bell. Jesus, that movie. Fucking huge cast. Just got this movie like yesterday. Fistful of Dollars. It's just got released on 4K. So I had to pick that up. 5 Feet Apart. Definitely my wife's. 5 Year Engagement, one of the more disappointing movies I've ever seen because I love Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Same guy directed that, and that movie was not good. Flight of the Phoenix, I remember seeing this when I was younger and thought it was enjoyable, and I kind of wanted to check it out again. The Fly, one of my favorite, not even just one of my favorite horror movies, but just one of my favorite movies of all time. Love The Fly. Kind of just always feel like rewatching The Fly. Just got this one today, actually, for a few dollars more. It's just got released as well on 4K, so pick that up too. Ford v Ferrari. Forgetting Sarah Marshall, favorite comedy of all time. Forrest Gump. My name is Forrest Gump. Four Lions. The Fox and the Hound 1 and 2. I love the first Fox and the Hound. It's one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. It's so sad. I cry every single time I watch that movie. But I love the friendship between the two. And Frailty, awesome movie directed by Bill Paxton. Rest in peace. Freaky. Free Guy. Fucking hated Free Guy. That's right, I just threw that movie. French Connection. French Connection 2. Friday Night Lights. I want to rewatch Friday Night Lights because I remember watching that a lot when I was younger. Good sports movie. Friends with Benefits. Fright Night, the remake. Really good remake, actually. A lot of fun. Frozen 1 and Frozen 2. Frozen 1 is good. Frozen 2 I thought was ass. I thought that movie was not good. Fruitvale Station. The Fugitive. I Don't Care. Full Metal Jacket. And Funny People, which, why is this movie 2.5 hours long? That just makes me not want to watch it. I like the cast. I love the cast. I like Judd Apatow. Why is this movie 2.5 hours long? All right, kicking off the G's, we got The Game. Game Night, awesome comedy. Gamer. This movie actually has a really cool concept. I've only seen it once, long time ago, so I don't really know if it lives up to the concept, but I wanted to check it out, and I got it for really cheap. Gangs of New York. Garden State. Gemini Man. The Gentleman. Get Out. Ghost. Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai. Ghostbusters 1 and 2. The Girl Next Door. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Really messed up movie, but excellent film. Gladiator and Braveheart. The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. I want to check this out because I want to see like how I know they switched up the beginning and the ending of that movie, so I want to see like how that works. Godzilla 1998, I want to say, the Roland Emmerich one, the one that everyone hates. I've never seen it. I wanted to check it out. Plus, it was a 4K that came with a slipcover. So, Godzilla 2014. I love this movie. I think this is an excellent monster movie. And who's the director? Gareth Edwards. Sorry. I think he does an excellent job of capturing the scope and the size of Godzilla. And this 4K looks incredible, and the sound design is flawless. Really crank up your speakers if you're watching that. Godzilla, King of the Monsters. This movie is frustrating because I love everything they do with the monsters. I think the action and all that is excellent. It's a beautiful looking movie. But this might have the dumbest characters I've ever seen in a big action movie, like blockbuster film. The characters in this movie are so unlikable, so stupid. Some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard. God damn. It's not great. Godzilla vs. Kong. This is actually a pretty goddamn fun time. One, it's a lot better than King of the Monsters, I think. And I want to rewatch it because I only watched it once when it was on HBO Max, but I think that movie's a fun, guilty pleasure. GoldenEye, Gone Baby Gone, Gone Girl, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, The Good Dinosaur. Oh yeah. Rest in peace, Ray Liotta. Got 2 copies of Goodfellas. Got the 4K Steelbook, which is pretty rare. And I also got the 4K with the slipcover, which is also pretty fucking rare. I just looked this up not too long ago. This was selling on like eBay for like $90 with slipcover. So, and I got this for $10 at a used movie store. And this thing's in excellent condition. No fucking chips or anything. Great. Love it. Good Will Hunting. The Goonies. Gran Torino. Yeah, Grand Budapest Hotel. Gravity. Got Saturday Night Fever and Grease. The Great Dictator. The Great Gatsby. Great Mouse Detective. One of my favorite Disney movies. I love that movie. And Ratigan is one of the most underrated Disney movie villains. I think he's an awesome villain. Voiced by Vincent Price. Oh. Green Book. I have yet to watch it. Green Hornet. Does anyone remember this movie? Seth Rogen did a comic book movie back in 2010, 2011. Yeah, this movie is pretty forgettable. The Green Mile. Green Room. This movie is brutal. Holy shit. But it's a really good movie, too. We got Gremlins, because I got my little gizmo right here. That's you. That's you. All right, you can go back down now. Thank you. Gross Point Blank. I always have a hard time saying that title. I don't know why. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and Volume 2. A lot of people hate on Volume 2. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's one of the funnier MCU movies. And the last G, The Guest. One of my favorite films of all time. If you have not seen this movie, check it out. It's a lot of fun. Badass movie. All right, kicking off the H's, we got Hacksaw Ridge. Hail Caesar. Got the Halloween collection. This has from the first film all the way up to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I really love the first Halloween. And then I've only seen number 3 and Halloween 1 and 2 Rob Zombies. I actually don't mind the Rob Zombie versions. I like that they're way different. Well, I shouldn't say way different. I like how different they are from the original. Like John Carpenter was one. So I really like the Rob Zombie ones. Got the original Halloween on 4K. I had to pick that up. I also have Halloween 3 Season of the Witch on 4K. This is the Scream Factory release that they just did of, I believe, the first 4 or 5, I want to say. This was the only one I picked up, number 3. I already owned the first one on 4K, so I didn't need to pick that up again. And then 2, 4, and 5, I've actually never seen, so this was the only one I wanted to pick up because that's the only one I think I'll ever rewatch. Halloween 2018. I like this one a lot. It's one of the better Halloween movies. Halloween Kills. This, as good as this Steelbook is, this Steelbook's pretty fucking cool. This movie sucks. I hated this movie. I actually watched it with one of my buddies on whenever it came out on streaming. I watched it. We watched it at my house. Such a stupid movie. Like, yeah, the kills are all awesome, but once again, characters are dumb as fuck. How fucking stupid can characters be? Like, I know it's a horror movie and, like, you can kind of let characters be stupid, but there's a limit. God damn, those fucking evil dies tonight. Like, holy shit, take a shot every time they see it, say in that movie, you'll fucking die. Anyways, Hannibal. The Happening. Mark Wahlberg plays a science teacher, because that's believable. Happy Death Day. This movie is actually pretty important to me because this is the first Blu-ray or first movie in this entire collection that I accidentally bought twice. You know, once you have so many movies in your collection, it's kind of hard to remember which movies you have and which ones you don't. I was at a used movie store and I was trying to remember if I owned this one or number 2 because I saw this one there and I was like, fuck, do I own 1 or 2? So I bought it, came back home, and I already had this one. So that was the first time, pretty sure only time, I've ever accidentally bought a movie twice. Happy Gilmore. Hard Candy. Hard Target. I just got this not too long ago on 4K. Yeah. The Harry Potter collection. Got all 8 movies. Yeah, all 8 movies there. Hatchet. No, not the book that everyone read in middle school. This is like a slasher movie with God, Robert. Holy shit! You got Tony Todd, Robert Englund, and Kane Hodder in this thing. Jesus, just stacked horror cast right there. The Hateful Eight, a movie I like a lot more than most people. A lot of people don't really like this movie or think it's like bottom tier Tarantino. It's not like up there in my favorite Tarantino movies, but I really like this movie. Heat. Give us the 4K. Come on, Disney. Fuck you. Heaven's Gate. This movie I could not stand. I was actually really excited to check this movie out because this is Michael Cimino, the same guy who did The Deer Hunter. I really like The Deer Hunter. And this movie is, fuck, how long? 216 minutes long. So, pretty fucking long movie. And goddamn, there's a lot of this movie that you could just trim right out. There are some enjoyable scenes. And, like, the scope of the movie is awesome. Like, so epic. And I wanted, like, an epic Western. But I also wanted characters I liked. And a plot that I could really understand. Whoa. So as far as like cinematography, production design, and the scope of the movie, and performances are all good as well. But other than that, this movie is not good. Hell or High Water, Hellboy 1, and Hellboy 2. Hellraiser, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. Hercules. That movie sucks. Hereditary. Highlander. There can only be one, right? There can be only one. Whatever. The Hills Have Eyes remake. This movie is really kind of disturbing. Don't know if I ever feel like rewatching it. A History of Violence, one of my favorite films of all time. I love that movie. The Hobbit trilogy on 4K. This includes the extended versions, which I do want to sit down and watch the extended version sometime. But I kind of disappointed by the Hobbit movies, but I do want to give them a second chance, especially the extended versions. Hobbs and Shaw. Hocus Pocus. Hollow Man. Home Alone. Hoosiers. Horrible Bosses. Hostels. Hot Fuzz. Hotel Transylvania 1 and 2. I do got to pick up 3. House of Wax. This is a remake that came out in like, 2005 or something like that? 2006. I don't know. Seemed like a stupid slasher movie that I want to check out. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. One of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. The live action one with Jim Carrey. It's fine. I think Jim Carrey holds that movie together. Without Jim Carrey in that movie's nothing. One of my favorite trilogies of all time, the How to Train Your Dragon movies. I love all 3 of these. Second one's probably my favorite, followed by the first one, and then the third one, but I love them all. They're all awesome. Hi, Gizmo. The Howling, this is the Scream Factory Steelbook. Pretty rare, actually. I think it's out of print. The Hunchback of Notre Dame 1 and 2. Hunger Games. The Hunt for the Red October. Ooh. Is that James Earl Jones? Holy shit, James Earl Jones. I did not know he was in that movie. The Hurt Locker. And last but not least, The Hustler, which I got to get The Color of Money, which is the sequel to that movie. All right, kicking off the eyes, we got I Love You, Man. I Saw the Devil, probably my favorite foreign film. I, Tonya. The Ides of March. This is directed by George Clooney as well. Impractical Jokers, the movie. I love the Impractical Jokers. Really sad that Joe left the group, but it's his decision. In Bruges. I really like the Dead Meat YouTube channel, so I got the Into Darkness 1 and 2. I think they might have released a part 3, but I didn't get that one. If they did, I can't remember. But these are two like horror documentaries about 80s horror films, so that was really cool. In the Heat of the Night. In the Line of Fire. In the Valley of Elah. I don't know how you say that. In Time. One of the cooler concepts for a movie, but I feel like the movie doesn't live up to the concept. Inception. The Incredible Hulk. I love this green case that it comes in. That's awesome. Wish more movies did that kind of stuff, but Incredible Hulk. Got The Incredibles 1 and 2. Independence Day. Oh yeah. Got the 4 Indiana Jones movies on 4K Steelbooks. Last Crusade is my favorite. Some of my favorite movies of all time. The Infiltrator. Inglourious Bastards. The Innkeepers. This is directed by Ty West, who just had X, the horror movie X that came out this year. So this is another movie from him. Heard good things about it. Inside Out, my favorite Pixar movie. I love the Steelbook. You got Bing Bong on the other side. R.I.P. Bing Bong. The Insider. This is Michael Mann. Got Al Pacino and Russell Crowe. Really want to check that movie out. Got Insidious 1, 2, 3, and Insidious: The Last Key. I like the Insidious movies. They're all pretty fun horror movies that are pretty forgettable, but they're good while you're watching them. I actually think number 3 is pretty underrated. Insomnia. Instant Family. Interstellar. The Interview. Interview with the Vampire. Into the Blue. I remember watching this when I was younger, and the character played by Ashley Scott, spoilers, she dies in this movie. I remember her death being really upsetting because she gets like bit by a shark and like half her leg gets bitten off, and they kind of show it, and I was like, oh my god, like just the imagery of that really got to me. Got The Invisible Man. The Invitation. The Irishman. Iron Man 1, 2, and 3. The Island. It 1 and It Chapter 2. I don't really ever feel like rewatching these movies. I don't know. Especially after a second one. The second one's, why is that 3 hours long? It Follows. I think this would be a movie that would be really well suited to a sequel. I'd like to see a sequel of that. Only if the director comes back, though. I don't want some, cheap little stupid horror movie. I want a movie the same quality as the first one. It's a Wonderful Life. And The Italian Job. All right, kicking off the J's, we got one of my favorite movies of the year so far, Jackass Forever. I love this movie. I love all the Jackass movies, and this one lived up to the other ones. I thought it was an awesome conclusion to the Jackass, at least the original crew. If they want to keep going with a lot of the newer guys, Poopy or Poopers, I can't remember what that one guy's name was. If they want to continue with like him and a couple of the other guys, I'd be fine with that. But I love this movie. I thought it was fucking hilarious. I love Jackass movies. And just release all the other ones on Blu-ray. They like 1 and 2 they don't have on Blu-ray, I'm pretty sure. So Jackie Brown, Jaws, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, John Wick Chapter 2, John Wick Chapter 3, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Juice, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, and Jumanji, The Next Level. I actually like this one more. I thought the fact that they got Danny Glover and Danny DeVito, and they got like Kevin Hart kind of playing, and The Rock playing them, I thought that was a lot of fun. This one's fine, but I just like this one more. I know I'm in the minority on that one, but we got The Jungle Book, one of the scariest movies of all time for me. Jungle Book 2. And Jungle Book remake, which I actually thought was a pretty good remake. Juno. Jurassic Park, Jurassic World collection. This has all 5 of the movies, so Jurassic Park, Lost World, number 3, Jurassic World, and Fallen Kingdom. And we have Dominion, the final one, coming out next weekend. I'm excited for it, but I don't like... Pretty much the only one I really love is the first Jurassic Park. Lost World, I have nostalgia for that one. Jurassic Park 3, I don't remember being good at all. Jurassic World's a fun enough time, and Fallen Kingdom is one of the dumbest movies. Justice League, You got Zack Snyder's Justice League, which was a lot better, but I don't think I'm ever going to rewatch this movie. It's, 4 hours long? Over 4 hours long. But I do like the Steelbook. The Steelbook it's pretty hard to find, but I was able to get my hands on it, so that's pretty cool. And then the last J is Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, which is an animated superhero DC movie. All right, kicking off the K's, we got The Karate Kid. This is the remake with Jackie Chan. Kick-Ass, a movie I don't really ever feel like rewatching. I loved that movie when it first came out, and I just don't ever really feel like watching it ever again. Kill Bill 1 and 2, I just rewatched these not too long ago. They still hold up, still kick ass. I still think I like number 2 more. I know that's unpopular opinion. A lot of people like first one more because it's got the more action. But I think number 2 has more Quentin Tarantino dialogue. And I would rather have the dialogue than the action. You got Killer Joe. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Killing Them Softly. King Arthur. This is a nostalgic movie for me. I remember seeing that when I was younger. I think it's Antoine Fuqua. It's kind of a weird movie for him to direct. Usually he does like crime movies. It's kind of weird for him to do like a epic medieval movie. King Kong. I do want to get this on 4K because I do like this movie. At least the second 2 hours. Beginning hour is really slow, but King of New York. If you have not seen this movie, check it out. It is an awesome crime movie with Christopher Walken, batshit crazy performance by Lawrence Fishburne, and then Wesley Snipes in there too. King of Staten Island. The King's Speech. Kingdom of Heaven. The Kingsman, Secret Service. Kingsman, Golden Circle, and The King's Man. I really liked this one when it first came out. I still have enjoyment with it. Don't like it as much as I used to. Golden Circle I watched once and did not like it at all. I thought there were some really weird choices in there. And The King's Man I have yet to see. Haven't really heard great things about it, but Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Val Kilmer, RDJ, awesome chemistry together. A Knight's Tale, one of my faves. I love this movie. Knives Out, waiting for the sequels. Knocked Up, Kong Skull Island. This is a fun guilty pleasure movie of mine. Pretty much all these like MonsterVerse movies I get enjoyment out of, except for King of the Monsters, stupid characters. But I thought this one was a lot of fun and pretty fucking violent for a PG-13 movie. You get like a guy getting ripped in half and you see it. It's like in broad daylight. You get a guy like gets like fucking stabbed through the throat. It's pretty brutal, but it's a lot of fun. I like that movie. Krampus. Kubo and the Two Strings. Pretty much if like a Legend of Zelda it was a movie. And then another awesome animated trilogy. Kung Fu Panda 1, 2, and 3. I actually really like all those movies. All right, moving on to the L's, we got LA Confidential. I'd love it if this movie got a 4K release, but this is 20th Century Fox, which is now owned by Disney, so wouldn't plan on that anytime soon. La La Land, really love La La Land. Don't get the hate on it. Lady Bird. Last Action Hero. Last Man Standing and The Last Boy Scout. Last Christmas. The Last Duel. This movie is fucking awesome. I love this movie. Thank God for Ridley Scott for giving us like another awesome, epic medieval movie. The actual Last Duel, like the duel at the end of this movie, is incredible. Some of the most like intense, like 15, 20 minutes I've ever had in a theater. I was like fucking gripping my seat. Got really great performances too. I wish we got way more movies like that. Thank you, Ridley Scott. You're an awesome man. Last King of Scotland. Last Night in Soho. Just got this not too long ago. Last Samurai. Law Abiding Citizen. Lawless. Leatherface. Legend. Legend of Tarzan. Lego Movie. Lego Movie 2, the second part. Lego Batman movie. And the Lego Ninjago movie. Leon the Professional. All 4 Lethal Weapon movies. Let's Be Cops. Let Me In. This is a remake of Let the Right One In. This was directed by Matt Reeves, the same guy who directed The Batman, the new Batman movie. And this is a really good movie. I haven't seen the original, but I really liked that one. Liar Liar. Fuck. The Light Between Oceans. That is definitely my wife's movie. I always forget I own this movie. It's like, whenever I do one of these collection videos, I see it and I'm like, what the fuck is this movie? So, but it's got Michael Fassbender and Alicia Vikander and Rachel Weisz. Jesus. That's an awesome cast. The Lighthouse. I love this movie. It's one of my favorites. You got Robert Eggers, who just directed The Northman, which I fucking loved. The Northman. It's an awesome film. And I believe that's getting released on 4K next week. So that will be delivered here. Definitely. Lights Out. Lights Out. Really cool horror film that not a lot of people talk about. It's a cool concept. And I would be down if we got a sequel for this. I thought it was really, really creepy and cool. Lilo and Stitch 1 and 2. The Lion King. The Lion King. Little Mermaid. Little Women. Live by Night. Lock Up. The Lodge. Logan. Gotta have it. London Has Fallen. Lone Survivor. Long Shot. One of the better comedies in recent years. This came out in like 2019. This was a really funny movie. Check it out if you haven't. The Lookout. Looper. The Lorax. Here we go. Lord of the Rings. All 3 movies. Collector's edition on 4K. Love it. Favorite films of all time. You guys know that. Lord of War. The Losers, Rock'n'Rolla, and Shoot 'em Up. I have seen all of these. Shoot 'em Up, I really get a lot of enjoyment out of that. Rock'n'Rolla, only seen once. Not the biggest Guy Ritchie fan, but I remember liking it, even though I don't remember a lot about it. And The Losers was kind of, eh. The Lost Boys. Love Actually. Love, Simon. This is one of my wife's favorite movies. I like it too. Good movie. And Lucky Number 11. All right, moving on to the M's, we got MacGruber, Mad Max. This is a 4K version. That's a pretty badass cover there. I love that. I have yet to check this one out, though. Road Warrior will be back. Beyond Thunderdome, Fury Road, Madagascar 2, Escape from Africa. Probably my favorite Madagascar movie. I really like that one. Number 3, Europe's Most Wanted. I got to get number 2 or number 1. I got to find it on Blu-ray. Magnificent Seven, Major League, Malignant. Fuck yes. I remember watching this on HBO Max, and the reviews were kind of mixed on it. I fucking had a blast with this movie. This was the most bonkers horror movie I've seen in quite a while. This was just a good ass time. Thank you, James Wan, for making goddamn enjoyable movies. Mallrats, Man of Steel. I'd like to find this on 4K. But it looks really good. Man on Fire, The Many Saints of Newark. This is the prequel movie of The Sopranos. I enjoyed this movie while I was watching it, but I was also let down by it because this could have been like an awesome crime movie in the kind of the same vein as like Goodfellas or like something like that. Especially when you got the same guy who Alan Taylor. He did some Game of Thrones episodes, I remember. This could have been like a really awesome crime movie, and it's fine. You've got some good performances in here. Ray Liotta, rest in peace. He's really good in this as well. But I just wanted a little bit more from that movie. But I got the Blu-ray for really cheap. I think I got it for like $7. So Marley and Me. Like I said with The Dog's Purpose, I'm not going to rewatch this movie. My wife bought me that, and any movie where a dog dies, I just can't handle it, even though Gizmo's being a pain in the ass right now. Marriage Story, love it. The Martian, The Mask of Zorro. You got Master and Commander, Far Side of the World. I just watched this for the first time, like not too long ago. This movie was incredible. I loved it. Russell Crowe is badass as the lead. He's kind of like his Gladiator character, but a little more humorous, I'd say. You got some amazing cinematography and like battles at sea where people are like swinging from one ship to the other. Some swordplay in there, some cannons. Like the sound design is incredible. Really check this movie out if you haven't. It's awesome. We got The Matrix and The Matrix Resurrections. I did want to try to find Reloaded and Revolutions on 4K, but I just couldn't find them in time for this video. I am due for a rewatch on the first Matrix. It's been a long time, and I have yet to watch Resurrections. A lot of people did not like it. A lot of people did like it. Majority of the people were in the middle. So, I don't know. I'm intrigued to watch it. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. Memento. Memories of Murder. Menace to Society. Triple feature here. We got Friday, Menace to Society, and Set It Off. I haven't seen Friday yet. Menace to Society, you guys know I love that movie. And Set It Off was a pretty cool heist movie, directed by F. Gary Gray. I thought that movie was pretty damn solid. Miami Vice. Michael Clayton. Midnight Run. It's a really fun movie. Oh, fuck yes. We got all 3 Mighty Ducks movies on Blu-ray. These were kind of hard to find, but used movie store that I go to had them, I think, for pretty cheap, actually. For what you can find them online, these were pretty cheap. I found them. I love these movies. I actually watched the first one when I bought these right away. Still holds up. It's still a lot of fun. It's been a while since I've seen 2 and 3, but they're just, goddamn, I love these movies. They're so much fun. Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. Miller's Crossing. Minority Report. I want to check this out. This is directed by Steven Spielberg. Got Tom Cruise. Miracle, same guy who directed Warrior, directed this. and you got Kurt Russell. Misery. We have the Mission Impossible 6-movie collection. I have yet to watch the first one and second one. I really like 3, really like 4, really like 5, and Fallout is one of my favorite action movies of all time. And the trailer for Dead Reckoning, which is an awesome title, Dead Reckoning, that's badass, has me so psyched for that movie. That's probably my most anticipated movie for next year. Moana, Modern Times, Moneyball, Monsters Ball, Monsters Inc., Monsters University, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I hate how this is ripped like that. That really bugs me. Mortal Kombat from... Am I holding this right? What the fuck? Mortal Kombat from last year. This is not a great movie, but I love this movie. It is so goddamn fun. If I were to do a top 10 guilty pleasures movie, this would probably be in that list. I really like it. I know it's not a great movie. Mother. Mud. All right. Mulan 1 and 2. My Bloody Valentine 3D. My Fair Lady. And finally, Mystic River. All right, kicking off the ends, we got the Naked Gun trilogy. I watched the first one like last year. That movie was so goddamn funny, so I got to watch the second and third one. I had a blast with that. Natural Born Killers, The Negotiator, Neighbors 1 and Neighbors 2. Got Never Hike Alone. This is kind of like a fan-made Friday the 13th movie. Fan film, Friday the 13th film. I heard good things about it. Kind of want to support it and want to check it out. So, New Jack City, New Mutants. Still have to check that out. The Nice Guys, one of the movies that should get a sequel. Night Before, The Night House, Nightcrawler. You got The Nightingale. So, funny story about this movie. My wife and I went on our honeymoon to Punta Cana back in December. So, on the plane there, it's my first time ever flying. The guy sitting in front of me, I believe, had his tablet that I was watching movies on, like on the headrest in front of him. And he was watching this movie. If anyone doesn't know what this movie's about a lady who gets assaulted by... This takes place in 1825. She gets assaulted by a couple of soldiers. I believe her husband gets murdered. Maybe her baby gets murdered too. I haven't seen this movie yet, but I just know what it's about. And it's a really fucked up movie. And this guy's just watching it so everyone behind him can see what's going on. And there's kids sitting next to me. I'm like, dude, not a great movie to watch on a plane. But anyways, that was kind of a funny story that I was kind of uncomfortable. But anyways, Nightmare Before Christmas. We have A Nightmare on Elm Street and Nightmare on Elm Street collection. So this has the original all the way up to Wes Craven's New Nightmare. But I had to get the Steelbook for the original film. It's my favorite horror movie of all time. You got Fred Man on the back there, so I really like this. It's pretty cool. Had to pick it up for my favorite horror movie of all time. We got the remake, which we don't really talk about. I believe this is another fan film. This is Nightmare on Elm Street Up All Night. It's like a 17-minute long, pretty sure it's a fan film. I never heard of it, but I saw it at the used movie store. I kind of looked it up a little bit, and I believe it's a fan film. But I wanted to check it out. Like I said, I've never even heard of it, so it sounded interesting. So you got Ninja Scroll. So funny thing about this movie is I'm not an anime fan, but probably my favorite podcast to listen to is called We Hate Movies. It's a group of 4 guys who just every week they pick a new or a movie to talk about, shitty movie, and they just pretty much go through the movie and roast it. And a couple times they bring up this Ninja Scroll movie, and they say how fucking weird and bizarre and bonkers this movie is. And I wanted to check it out because the way they made it sound is just like batshit insane. So that's why I picked it up. I've never seen it. I'm not an anime fan, but I wanted to check it out. So I haven't seen it yet. No Country for Old Men. No Strings Attached. No Time to Die. We got No Way Out. This is actually a really rare Blu-ray. This is out of print, I believe. This is a Shout Factory release. I looked it up on eBay. On eBay, this is going for like $70+, and on Amazon, it's like 90 plus. I got this at a used movie store for probably close to $10, I think. So I saw this. I knew it was a pretty rare Blu-ray. I just snatched it up. Plus, you got Gene Hackman in there, so I had to have it. Nobody, Nocturnal Animals, and Nonstop. All right, kicking off the O's, we got the Oceans trilogy. This has Oceans 11, 12, and 13. We got Oceans 8, Oculus, Office Space, Old. I've heard mixed things about this. I've heard some people say it's an awesome M. Night Shyamalan movie, and I've also heard people say that it's terrible. But the 4K was pretty cheap. I think I got it for like $13, so I wanted to check it out. Old School, Oliver and Company, Olympus Has Fallen, On the Waterfront, Once Upon a Time in America, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, The Oranges, that is a movie my wife wanted to get, The Other Guys, Outbreak. Yes, I did buy this during the pandemic. Wanted to check it out. Plus, it's directed by Wolfgang Peterson. He makes some pretty good movies, and it's got a really good cast. So I wanted to check this out. I have yet to sit down and watch it. And the last O on the list is Overlord. I love this movie. I thought this movie was a blast. Total badass movie. You got Kurt Russell's son in this, and the guy who plays fucking Euron Greyjoy on Game of Thrones. He's the villain in this movie. It's kind of like a Nazi zombies movie from like Call of Duty, except not as many zombies. It also reminded me of like 80s David Cronenberg, like body horror stuff. This is just a total blast of a movie, and I think it's kind of underrated. All right, kicking off the P's, we got Pacific Rim, Pan's Labyrinth, the 6-film Paranormal Activity movies. I haven't watched any of these yet. I don't know. I got that set for pretty cheap. Parasite, The Patriot, one of my faves, love it. Patriots Day, Paul. All right, guys, I can explain this next one. Pearl Harbor. This is totally nostalgia. My grandparents had this on VHS. This was a VHS that had 2 tapes, and I remember the cutoff point. I'm pretty sure it was when John Voight, as the president, like stands up, gives a speech. Pretty sure that's where you had to switch VHS tapes, if I remember correctly. So I bought this purely out of nostalgia. It is directed by Michael Bay. A lot of people don't like this movie, but from what I remember, the attack scene on Pearl Harbor is actually really well filmed. All the explosions and everything. The love story is pretty cheesy, but I remember enjoying it when I was younger, and it's been a long time since I've seen it. We just got this one not too long ago, Peppermint. This is directed by the guy who did Taken. Kind of seemed like a fun enough R-rated action movie with Jennifer Garner. I like her, so I wanted to check that out. We got A Perfect Getaway, pretty underrated thriller. Check it out. Perks of Being a Wallflower, Pet Sematary, the original, and Pet Sematary, the remake. Pretty let down by that movie. It could have been so much better. Peter Pan. It's been a while since I've seen Peter Pan. I used to watch it a lot when I was younger. Pineapple Express, one of my favorite comedies. Pinocchio, which we are getting a remake of that looks terrible. That movie looks awful. Can't believe that. Fucking Tom Hanks used to be an amazing actor. What's wrong with you, man? Pirates of the Caribbean, all 3 of the original films. I gotta rewatch these. It's been a hot minute. And I got the 2, 4, and 5. I have seen 4, did not like it, but I had to complete the collection. And number 5 I have yet to watch, but I've also heard not great things about that one either. The Planet of the Apes trilogy, love all those movies. One of the better trilogies. Pocahontas. Point Break. I am an FBI agent. We got 3 Pokemon movies. I used to love Pokemon when I was younger. Back in like elementary school, I used to collect all the cards and stuff. And I bought this because we used to watch the first movie all the damn time when I was younger. And it, god damn it, if you guys know the scene what I'm talking about, I'm fucking crying right now. It is a sad movie. But I wanted to check it out because it's been a hot minute since I've seen it. And this collection looks pretty cool. So Poltergeist, which is directed by Tobe Hooper, not Steven Spielberg. Tobe Hooper directed this. Okay? I don't want to fucking hear it from anyone. Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stoppin'. Right? Yeah, Never Stop, Never Stoppin'. Possessor. This movie was fucking pretty cool, actually. This is directed by Brandon Cronenberg, son of David Cronenberg. If you are going to watch this, get the unrated cut, the uncut version. It's the yellow cover. Don't get the red one. Get the yellow one. This movie is brutal, but it's got a really cool concept. And you can really see the influence that his dad has on him, because I'm excited to see where he goes as a director. That was a pretty cool movie. We got Predator 4-film collection. We got the original Predator, Predator 2, Predators, and fucking one of my least favorite movies of all time, The Predator. God, I hate that movie. We have The Prestige. The Prestige, Michael Caine. Michael Caine. We got Prince of Darkness. The Princess and the Frog. I've actually never seen that movie. The Princess Bride, one of my faves. Love it. Prisoners. Project X. Got Prometheus. This is a beautiful looking movie. There's some amazing stuff in this film, but the characters are so goddamn dumb that it kind of just bothers me. This is why I like Alien Covenant a little bit more than this, but I still like this movie. I just wish the characters were a little bit smarter in it, but other than that, it's a damn good movie. The Proposition. I gotta sit down and watch this. I heard it's a pretty brutal Western. The Prowler. Public Enemies. I really wanted this movie to be better than it was. You got Michael Mann. You got a standout cast. And it's Michael Mann doing a gangster movie. Like, that should be perfect. It's just, I don't know, kind of falls short of its potential, I think. Still some enjoyment, though. And then, Pulp Fiction, one of the best. All right, on to the cues. Only got a couple of these. We got Quarantine, a remake of Wreck. The Quick and the Dead, directed by Sam Raimi. This was actually a pretty fun movie. If you know Sam Raimi's style, this is all over it. But it's got a loaded cast. You got Sharon Stone, Leo DiCaprio, Lance Hendrickson, Gary Sinise, Russell Crowe, and of course, Gene Hackman. So that's a pretty fun Western. And then we got Quiet Place 1 and Quiet Place 2. Really love both these movies, and excited to see what a third one looks like. All right, moving on to the R's. We got Raging Bull, a movie I've seen once. I don't really have any desire to go rewatch this movie. It was incredible, but just like how big of an asshole Robert De Niro is in this movie, I just don't really want to hang out with that character any longer. He's kind of mean. It's an excellent movie though. We got The Raid 1 and 2, Raising Arizona, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Rambo. That's the only Rambo movie I own? That's kind of weird. Rampage, another fun guilty pleasure movie. It's fun enough. Ron, Rango. Ransom. Give me back my son. I love this movie. This movie is a total blast. Rashomon. Ratatouille. Raya and the Last Dragon. I love this movie. One of my favorite Disney movies, at least in quite a while. Probably since Moana. Ready or Not. Total blast. Check it out if you haven't. Yeah. Ready Player One. Movie I got to rewatch because I enjoyed it when I first saw it. A lot of people kind of hate on it. I want to check it out again. Reanimator. Red Heat. Wanted a little bit more from this movie. You got Schwarzenegger and Jim Belushi. Could have been a little bit better, or James Belushi, whatever. Could have been a little bit better, but Reign of Fire. You got Matthew McConaughey and Christian Bale against dragons. Sounds like a lot of fun, so I bought it. I wanted to check it out. Haven't yet. The Replacements. Fucking love this movie. Shane Falco. Keanu Reeves. Fuck yes. Rescuers 1 and 2. Reservoir Dogs. Probably my favorite Tarantino movie. Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. I've heard mixed things about this. I am a pretty big fan of the Resident Evil games. I heard this one's pretty faithful to, I think this combines like the first 2 games. I'm pretty sure that's what I heard. But I wanted to check it out. The Revenant. This is the 4K, but it's in the Blu-ray slipcover because I wanted my slipcover. Revenge. Awesome movie. We got the Riddick collection. This is Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick, and Riddick from 2013, I believe that one came out. I have the most nostalgia, actually, for Chronicles of Riddick, which is the one people tend to hate the most. But I am due for a rewatch, at least on all of them. The Ring. 7 Days. Rise of the Guardians. Roadhouse. Fuck yes. Total blast. Road to Perdition. There it is. Road Warrior. I was looking for this earlier with my Mad Max movies, but Robin Hood. Total classic. One of my favorite Disney movies of all time. Love it. Robin Hood Men in Tights. Robin Hood Prince of Thieves. Why is this movie over 2.5 hours long? I really want to rewatch it, but that makes me not want to. We got the Arrow version of RoboCop on 4K. Love this. Love the artwork here. RoboCop, one of my faves. Total blast of a movie. I got the remake. I got this for $1, so I wanted to check it out. The Rock. Yes. Michael Bay's best movie. Nicolas Cage's best movie, too, for me, at least. For me. The Rocky movies. This has all 6 of the Rocky movies, I believe. Yes. From the first Rocky all the way up to Rocky Balboa. So, yep. We got Role Models. Ronin, which I'm pretty sure we're getting a 4K of. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. Haha. Oh, hi, movie. The Room. You gotta own it. You gotta own it. Rounders. Just got this not too long ago. Wanted to check it out. The Ruins. Rumble in the Bronx. Run All Night. Running Scared. Rush. I don't know if I ever want to rewatch this movie. I've seen it once. It was good, but I have no ambition to really rewatch that movie. And then we got the Rush Hour trilogy, which I'm a big fan of. They're fun, enjoyable movies, and they have great chemistry together. Moving on to the S's, which is easily the most movies I have with that letter. So we're going to kick it off with Sahara. I remember seeing this movie a lot when I was younger. It's kind of like Indiana Jones, Uncharted, kind of like the fun adventure in the desert. Matthew McConaughey and Steve Zahn, they have awesome chemistry together as 2 buddies. So it's a fun enough movie from what I remember. It's been a bit since I've seen it, though. San Andreas. The Sandlot. Total classic. Sausage Party. Saving Private Ryan. I got Scanner Cop 1 and 2. These are both 4K transfers. Pretty cool box set, actually. I think this is from Vinegar Syndrome. But the reason I picked this up is because earlier when I was talking about Ninja Scroll, I said that my favorite podcast is We Hate Movies. And they did a commentary track on the first Scanner Cop, which is on the disc that you can watch when you're watching the movie. So that was pretty awesome. I wanted to pick that up, support them. Scarface. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Schindler's List. Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase. Total nostalgia here. I remember playing the video game on PlayStation 1 with my brother. That was a lot of fun, but it's probably my favorite Scooby-Doo animated movie from what I remember. The score, this is directed by Frank Oz. Yeah, you got stacked cast: Robert De Niro, Edward Norton, Angela Bassett, and Marlon Brando. That must have been one of Marlon Brando's last performances. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Okay, we got Scream, the original. This is the 4K Steelbook. Pretty cool. And then I got Scream 2, Scream 3, Scream 4, and then I just got this. This has Scream 5, the new one that just came out this year, and it also is a double pack with the original, so I have two versions, two copies of the original on 4K. But yeah, I wanted to pick up the new one because I really like that. Scream is a pretty solid horror franchise. Sea of Love. Secret of NIMH. I just watched this a couple months ago. This movie is pretty cool, actually, for how dark it gets, but it's pretty fucking terrifying. If I was a kid watching this, like the owl, some of the rats are pretty fucking creepy. It gets pretty brutal, like violent-wise. I really had a lot of fun with it, except fuck this crow. He's the most annoying character in an animated movie ever. I think his name's Jeremy. Fuck him. He sucked. Other than that, this movie was awesome, though. Serenity. A Serious Man. Seven. Jeez, I'm going to start putting these on the ground. Seven Psychopaths. Seven Samurai. Shadow. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights. These are both pretty fun action adventure movies, and Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan have great chemistry together. Shape of Water. Shaun of the Dead. Shawshank Redemption, 4K Steelbook there. It's pretty beautiful. Shazam! Sherlock Holmes 1 and 2. It'd be pretty cool if we got a sequel to that. The Shining. Shivers. Shocker. Showgirls. Showgirls. Guys, we're not even halfway done with the S's. Shutter Island. Sicario. I gotta rewatch this. I've only seen it once. I remember liking it a lot. Sideways. Silence. Silence of the Lambs. I know they released a 4K version of this. I think Kino Lorber did it. But I want to keep this version. This is the Criterion Blu-ray. I heard the transfer is great, and I love this design. This art design on the cover. It's beautiful. One of my favorite covers I have. We got Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2. These are both cheesy as fuck slasher movies that aren't great, but they're enjoyable. Silver Bullet. Silver Linings Playbook. Simpsons movie. Sin City. The Sixth Sense. Skyfall. Skyscraper. Slapshot. Sleepaway Camp. Sleepers, Sleeping Beauty, Sleepy Hollow, Slumber Party Massacre, yeah, Slumdog Millionaire. You got Small Soldiers. I watched this a lot when I was younger. You got, I believe his name's Major Chip Hazard, and Archer. I remember that movie being a lot of fun. Smoking the Bandit, Snake Eyes, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Snowpiercer, The Social Network, Society, oh yeah, The Shunting, Sonic the Hedgehog. I did pre-order Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Sorcerer, awesome William Friedkin movie. Check it out if you haven't. South Park, The Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. I am not a South Park fan. I've actually don't even know if I've ever seen a full episode. But I bought this because when I was in high school, a lot of my buddies liked South Park. So I bought this whenever they came over or they wanted to come over. Just throw it on for like background noise. Southpaw. Species, which I'm pretty sure we're getting a 4K release of. So it kind of sucks that I bought that not too long ago. Spectre. Speed. This is awesome. My 4K Spider-Man original trilogy set. Love it. I think this is kind of hard to find. Well, not really hard to find, but it might be hard to find, actually. I don't really know. But I got this for pretty cheap. I love the Sam Raimi trilogy. Even number 3, it's disappointing as fuck, but I still get a lot of fun out of it. Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man Far From Home. Then we got Spider-Man No Way Home. I really liked this movie when I first saw it in theaters, even though I was, fucking feeling like shit from salmonella poisoning. That sucked. But still loved it in theaters. I rewatched it when this came out with my wife. She'd never seen it before, and it was kind of sucked to have to explain all of, like, the villains and the multiple Spider-Mans to her. But after seeing it the first time in theaters and watching it at home, and just knowing where the movie goes, it doesn't have the same, like, you don't like it as much, or at least I didn't. But it's still fine. A lot of the humor in that movie didn't work for me either. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, one of my favorite Spider-Man movies, one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. Love it. Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. You have to own this movie only for the Bryan Adams soundtrack. Fuck yeah, Bryan Adams. Spirited Away. Split. All right. We got a couple movies here. We got SpongeBob SquarePants movie. I love this movie. Watched it so many times when I was a kid. Still holds up from what I remember. SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. I have seen this. I don't really remember too much about this. And then we got the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run. Did anyone know that this movie came out? Like, I didn't really know about this. This came out in 2020. I remember walking past the movie section in Walmart and seeing this there, and I'm like, wait, a new SpongeBob movie came out? So I picked it up, have yet to watch it, but I haven't heard anything about that movie. That's kind of weird. Hi, Gizmo. Spotlight. Spy. Stand By Me, one of my favorite movies. Stars Born. Starship Troopers, love that movie. Star Trek. Star Trek Into Darkness. And Star Trek Beyond. And I'm pretty sure we're getting a 4th movie with this cast, which is awesome because this is an amazing cast. And as a person who doesn't really like Star Trek, I love these movies. So I'm excited that they're returning with that cast. All right. We got all the Star Wars movies, guys. We got A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker, Rogue One, and Solo. And I am watching the Obi-Wan Kenobi show right now. Third episode just got released a couple days ago. Digging the show so far for the most part, except I don't really like it when shows like this bring kids in. So like the whole Leia character, she's better. She's getting better, but I just want fucking Obi-Wan and Vader. Like I want them. I don't want little kids in that show. Step Brothers, The Sting, Straight Outta Compton, The Strangers, Straw Dogs. This is the remake. Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad. I love this artwork. This is a really cool steelbook. I love that. Summer of '84. Super Troopers. Super Bad. SWAT. Swingers. And The Sword and the Stone. All right, moving on to the T's. We got Taking a Pelham 123. This is the remake from Tony Scott. It's got the infamous line of "Lick my bunghole, motherfucker." Oh yeah, great line. Tales from the Crypt present Demon Knight. I love Tales from the Crypt, and I heard that movie is pretty fun with a crazy Billy Zane performance. Tangled, Tango and Cash, Tarzan, Taxi Driver, Ted 1 and Ted 2, Teen Titans Go to the Movies, Tenet. I remember watching this in theaters. This was one of the loudest movies I've ever seen in a theater. So loud that I pretty much had the same complaint as everyone, where it was kind of hard to hear a lot of the dialogue. So I was excited to pick it up on 4K so I could watch it with subtitles. And I just don't really have the ambition to rewatch it. So I've only seen it once in theaters, and I don't really know what that movie's about. Apparently a lot of people don't either, so that's fine. The Terminator, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and Terminator Dark Fate. I absolutely love this steelbook. That is a beautiful fucking steelbook. That is how steelbook should be done. That is gorgeous. But T2, one of the best movies ever made. Terminator 1, there are some days where I think I might prefer Terminator 1 to T2. I love both of them, but they're, fucking awesome. And then Dark Fate, it's one of my more disappointing movies of all time. Still fine, but it could have been so much better. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake. This is like the first horror movie, like mature horror movie I ever saw. Fucked me up big time. That movie is not good to show a fucking fourth grader or however old I was. But anyways, that awkward moment. Thelma and Louise. There Will Be Blood. The Thing. The Thing remake, or prequel actually. This Is the End. This Means War, one of my guilty pleasure movies. This isn't a great movie, but I like the cast. It's just a fun time. Thomas Crown Affair. Yeah. Thor 1, Thor The Dark World, and Thor Ragnarok. I'm excited for Thor Love and Thunder. And Christian Bale, who plays Gore the God Butcher, looks fucking creepy and awesome. So I'm excited. You got 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. 3 Kings. A Time to Kill. You got Titanic, one of my faves. I'm pretty sure we're getting a 4K of this soon, but this is Paramount and 20th Century Fox. I don't know who owns the rights, plus you got to have James Cameron probably overlook the transfer, but I really hope we get a 4K transfer of that soon. Tomb Raider, pretty fun video game movie that I don't really remember a whole lot about, but I do remember enjoying it, and it would have been pretty cool to get a sequel to that. Tombstone, pretty sure we're getting a 4K transfer, or 4K of this pretty soon. Not too sure, but I love Tombstone. The big one, Top Gun. Just watched this for the first time last week before the new one came out. This was a fun movie. You know, Tony Scott, one of my favorite directors. You got Tom Cruise, who's just got so much charisma in this movie. You got Val Kilmer. Um, I love Anthony Edwards as Goose. He's a lot of fun. Especially his death is pretty upsetting. But this was a total 80s blast, cheesy movie that some parts may not hold up, but I thought it's a good, lot of fun. Top Gun Maverick, which I have seen, is, I will say, one of the best sequels I've ever seen. And I'll leave it at that. Got Top Secret, which just got released on Blu-ray. This is a new Blu-ray release. And this is also Val Kilmer. So that's pretty awesome. But I've seen clips of that movie, and it looks so goddamn funny. Plus, the same guys who made Airplane. So, oh, fuck. All right. We got Torque. I don't know if anyone remembers this movie. This came out in like 2004. Yeah, 2004. This is pretty much like a wannabe Fast and Furious movie, but with crotch rockets, motorcycles. This might be my biggest guilty pleasure movie of all time. This movie's dog shit. This movie's terrible. Like, script wise, directing wise, everything. It's just awful. But goddamn, is it a lot of fun. And I remember seeing that movie so many times as a kid. Rewatched it when I got the Blu-ray. I still have a lot of fun with it. So I love that movie unabashedly. Total Recall on 4K. Fucking love Total Recall. The Town, one of my favorite movies of all time. You guys know that. Toy Story 1. Toy Story 2. Toy Story 3. And Toy Story 4. Oh, yeah. Traffic. Train to Busan, an awesome zombie foreign film. Great time. Training Day. Yeah, buddy. Transformers Dark of the Moon, which is my favorite Transformers movie. Even more than the first one. This one is my favorite. And my least favorite, Age of Extinction. One of my least favorite movies of all time. I hate this film. Don't ask me why I own it. Got Tremors on 4K. Trick or Treat. 999. This seemed like a pretty fun heist movie with a loaded cast. Holy shit, the cast in this is insane. What do you got here? Well, the guy who directed this directed Lawless, which I really like. You got Casey Affleck, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Anthony Mackie, Aaron Paul, Clifton Collins Jr., Norman Reedus, Teresa Palmer, Michael K. Williams, Gal Gadot, Woody Harrelson, and Kate Winslet. Jesus! What a cast! Trolls, that was my sister's. Tropic Thunder. Troy. I feel like I love the movie Troy more than like most people. True Grit. True Romance, which I did get I pre-ordered the Arrow 4K that's being released pretty soon, so this Blu-ray will be substituted out for an awesome 4K transfer, hopefully. Twins. And we got a 3-pack here. We got Twister, Poseidon, and The Perfect Storm. The only one of these I've seen is Poseidon, which is a remake of the Poseidon Adventure. A lot of people don't like this remake. I have never seen the original, so I had a lot of fun with that one, but it's also been a long time since I've seen it, so it might not hold up. All right, moving on to the U's. Starting off with Unbreakable. Just picked this up, Uncharted. I am a huge fan of the Uncharted video games. Some of my favorites of all time. This movie was disappointing as a fan of the video games, but as a fun, dumb action adventure movie, I thought it was a lot of fun. Tom Holland did fine in the role. I liked him more as the movie went on. Same with Mark Wahlberg. They're terribly cast as the characters from the video games, but as far as them in the movie, it's a fun enough movie that I can enjoy here and there. Uncle Buck. Uncut Gems. We got Above the Law, Under Siege, and Under Siege 2. I have seen Under Siege. It's pretty much Die Hard on a submarine, but it's a lot of fun. And Tommy Lee Jones as the villain is completely bonkers. Under the Silver Lake. This is directed by the guy who directed It Follows. I've heard good things about this movie, and I wanted to pick it up and check it out. Just haven't yet. underwater. This pretty much seemed like Alien, but underwater. So it seemed like a cool concept. We got the Underworld films. We got Underworld 1, Evolution, Rise of the Lycans, Awakening, and Blood Wars. I've only seen the first three. I enjoy all three. Awakening and Blood Wars, I haven't heard great things about, so I'm not really excited to check them out. Unfaithful. Unforgiven. Fuck yes. Unhinged. I want to check this out because it's pretty much like fat Russell Crowe just being unhinged. It sounds like a total blast. Universal Soldier. Unstoppable. Good movie, directed by Tony Scott. Is that his last movie? I'm pretty sure that might have been his last movie. But The Untouchables. This just got a 4K release. I did not pick it up because I don't know how often I'd rewatch this movie, but I do like that movie a lot, especially Sean Connery. Up in the Air. Upgrade. The Upside. Us. And The Usual Suspects. All right, moving on to the V's. Only got a couple of V's. The Visit. This movie's actually kind of creepy. It's a pretty solid M. Night Shyamalan movie. V for Vendetta. John Carpenter's Vampires. I want to watch this. I heard it's got some really good like vampire gore. Pretty badass movie. Yeah, seemed like a good time. Van Helsing. This is total guilty pleasure. This is not a great movie, but I unabashedly like it. We got Venom 1 and Venom Let There Be Carnage. Fucking Ronald McDonald in that end scene. What a goof. I love both these movies. These are terrible movies as far as like films go. As far as good times go, you can't really get better than this. I mean, it's Tom Hardy talking to a black bleep clop thing that it's just a lot of fun. If honestly, if it wasn't for Tom Hardy in these movies, I wouldn't like him at all. But Tom Hardy's such a great actor that he can fucking pull it off. So I like both those movies. I had a total blast seeing Let There Be Carnage in theaters, even though Carnage was a total disappointment as a villain. Anyways, The Verdict, an amazing courtroom drama with an amazing Paul Newman performance. This is a great film. Check it out. And then you got Videodrome, where James Woods has a chest vagina. All right, moving on to the W's. Just kicking it off with The Wailing. I believe this is a South Korean horror film that has... I heard great things about it. I heard it's got some creepy imagery and stuff, so I'm excited to check that out. A Walk Among the Tombstones. WALL-E. I've actually never seen WALL-E, guys, so I know, shocking, right? Wanted. Warcraft, terrible movie. Warrior, one of my favorite movies of all time. Love it. Watchmen, the ultimate cut. It's been a while since I've seen Watchmen. I gotta rewatch it. Watership Down. The Way Back. The Way Back. We Were Soldiers. I remember this being a pretty solid war movie with some pretty cool battle scenes. You got Mel Gibson doing a war movie, so that's always got some merit to it, I guess. Wedding Crashers, one of my favorite comedies of all time. I love it. It's great. The Wedding Singer, another one of my favorite comedies of all time. We're the Millers. Kind of weird that we never got a sequel to We're the Millers. I feel like it was a big enough hit and people talked about it and liked it enough, so it's kind of weird we never got a sequel. Whiplash. Not my tempo. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I love this movie. This is how you blend animation and live action together. This is a perfect combination of the two. And Jessica Rabbit. Wow. And following it up with The Wicker Man. This is the Nick Cage one. The So Bad It's Good. One of the worst movies ever made, but one of the funniest movies ever made. Fucking punches a lady in the face in a bear suit. That sounds... Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah. Sounds like a good time. Widows. This movie's fucking awesome. Holy shit. I did not see this until for the first time a couple months ago. And I wish we got way more movies like this. This film was fucking great. You have a grade A director like Steve McQueen, who directed 12 Years a Slave, and he directs a Best Picture winner. And what does he want to do next? A fucking heist film. That's awesome. You got great performances all around. Especially, I loved Elizabeth Debicki in this movie. I thought she should have been nominated. Widows, check it out if you have not. It is an incredible movie. Wild Things. Speaking of incredible movies, this is the Arrow 4K release that just got released not too long ago. This is the Steelbook one. I went all out for this movie because I love it. And if you don't like Wild Things, then sucks to be you. Wishmaster Collection. This has all 4 of the movies. Only seen the first 2. Love the first one. Second one, not as much, but The Witch. Robert Eggers. Fucking killing it. Love it. Without a Paddle. The Wolf of Snow Hollow. I gotta check that out. Got The Wolf of Wall Street, the 4K Steelbook. Love it. Looks beautiful. The Wolfmen, or Wolfman, whatever, however you want to say it. I haven't heard great things about this, but it's directed by Joe Johnston, the guy who directed Captain America: The First Avenger, and it's got pretty good cast here, so I wanted to check it out. And I don't know, The Wolverine, Wonder Woman 1984. Hated this movie, so stupid. World War Z, The World's End. I've seen this movie and I don't really remember anything about it. Wrath of Man. Like I said earlier, not a big Guy Ritchie fan. This movie was bad ass as fuck. This is a movie made for like dudes, pretty much. It's a total blast. Like I said, just take a shot every time I say it. Fucking, I love heist movies. This is an awesome heist movie. And Jason Statham, what a badass in that film. I kind of want to rewatch that. That was a good time. Wreck-It Ralph. I believe this is my wife's, like, one of her favorite Disney movies. And I like it a lot, too. The Wrestler, one of my favorite performances of all time. Mickey Rourke. Fucking heartbreaking in that movie. And then Wrong Turn, the new one that just came out like last year or 2 years ago. Still have to check it out, but I've heard pretty decent things about it. All right, kicking it off with the X's, we have the movie X, which just came out the other day on Blu-ray. Picked it up. I did watch it. I thought this was really cool, like modern day slasher horror movie directed by Ty West. His style is awesome all over this movie. I like how you kind of sympathize with the main characters because, you know, they're about to be served up as slasher meat pretty much. And then the villains, he actually kind of makes you like sympathize with them too. I mean, they're terrible people because, you know, they're killing people, but he actually like kind of makes you get involved with them. So I really like this movie. I think there's some things he could have done a little differently, but fucking, as far as horror movies go, that was one of the better ones in recent memory. You got X-Men, the first one, X2, X-Men United, and X-Men The Last Stand. These are all steelbooks. Pretty cool. You got X-Men First Class, X-Men Days of Future Past. Probably my favorite X-Men movie besides Logan. X-Men Apocalypse. I don't really like that movie. And then X-Men Dark Phoenix. I gotta rank the X-Men movies. I'll do that sometime soon. And then Triple X, Total Guilty Pleasure. Not a great movie, but I like it. All right, kicking off the Y's, we got Yes Man, one of my more favorite Jim Carrey comedies, at least in one of his more recent ones, I'd say. We got a double pack here. We got Yojimbo and Sanjuro. These are the Criterion versions. That's pretty cool. Kira Kurosawa, you gotta have them. Your Highness. I want to rewatch this movie. It's directed by David Gordon Green, who is actually the guy who's directing the new Halloween like trilogy. But I remember having some fun with that movie, but it's been a hot minute since I've seen it. You're Next. Pretty good slasher. All right, we're on to the Z's. After I'm done with these, I got a couple more movies. I got like box sets and stuff to show you guys, so stick around for that. But kicking off the Z's, we got Zodiac. You guys know one of my favorite movies of all time. I absolutely adore it. Zombieland 1 and Zombieland Double Tap. I have yet to watch that one, but I've heard pretty decent things. And Zootopia. Whew! Those are all the individual releases. Now I'm going to do box sets, collector's editions, and stuff, so stick around. So before I get into the box sets and everything, I did want to bring up that I do have the Batman the Animated Series collection. I know it's a TV show, but this does include 2 movies, 2 animated Batman movies, Batman Mask of the Phantasm and Batman Sub-Zero. Mask of the Phantasm, one of my favorite Batman movies. Loved it. Sub-Zero actually might have been one of the first Batman movies I've ever seen, but that was like so long ago. I was probably like 4 years old, so I don't remember anything about it. But so I got the Batman Animated Series Blu-ray. So in my final count, I will be counting those 2 movies. You know what? Since I like you guys so much, I'm going to show you guys some of my TV series that I own on physical media. Some of these are DVD, Blu-ray. I'm not going to show you all of them, but some of the bigger ones that I own. So, like I showed you guys, Mask of the Batman Animated Series. All of it on Blu-ray. That's pretty awesome. We got The Sopranos, complete series on Blu-ray. I have all seasons of Game of Thrones. I only have the last 3 seasons on Blu-ray. The rest of them are on DVD. I bought them when they got released. But yes, I do own all the seasons of Game of Thrones. The Critic, which is, I believe, same people who created this show created The Simpsons. This is a 90s animated show starring John Lovitz. And it's pretty much this critic guy who is kind of a dick, kind of an asshole, snarky little ass. And he kind of just goes around, reviews movies, has adventures and stuff. It's a really funny show. I've only watched a couple episodes, but I wanted to pick it up on DVD because I love the concept, and anything that talks about movies is right up my alley. Firefly, gotta have it, love it, absolutely adore Firefly. I got the first 2 seasons of Fargo. These are the only 2 seasons I've watched. I haven't watched anything past that. I love both these seasons. I don't really even know which one I like more. They're kind of tied for me. So I got Family Guy trilogy, Laugh It Up Fuzzball. This is kind of like their take on Star Wars, so I wanted to pick that up because I love Star Wars. So this is Blue Harvest, something Dark Side, and It's a Trap. So pick that up. Obviously, you got to have this. Breaking Bad, probably my favorite show of all time. Might have to rank my my top 10 favorite TV shows. The Wire Blu-ray. I also have The Punisher season 1 on DVD. I don't think they ever released the second season on DVD, from what I remember, but I wanted to pick that up. I got all seasons of Sons of Anarchy on DVD. I love Sons of Anarchy, one of my favorite shows of all time. Shout out to my older brother for getting me into this show. I haven't watched any of Mayans yet. I don't know if I'd really get into it or not. But anyways, Tales from the Crypt. This is the DVD collection. I fucking love this show, and I don't think this is streaming anywhere. Maybe it's on Shudder. I don't really know, but I had to pick this up. This is pretty much like Goosebumps TV show, but a lot more graphic. It's like violent and stuff, and you got fucking Crypt Keeper being a little bastard, but I love Tales from the Crypt. It's an awesome time. Parks and Rec. I like Parks and Rec more than The Office. I know I'm probably in the minority there, but I think I just like the characters more in this show. We got Impractical Jokers. I got the first 4 seasons. Yeah, first 4 seasons on DVD. I don't know if they released any more since on DVD, but I love this show. This is kind of just like my feel-good show. Anytime I need a laugh, I watch Impractical Jokers. And like I said earlier, it sucks that Joe left, but anyways. We got 3 seasons of Ash versus Evil Dead, a show that for some reason they canceled. Why? This show was fucking awesome. It is totally brutal, gory as fuck, violent, but it's a lot of fun. And Bruce Campbell, so much fun in this show. So someone should fucking Netflix or someone should pick that show up and keep it going. Love that show. Band of Brothers, Blu-ray. One of my favorite shows of all time, like miniseries, I guess, is Chernobyl. I thought this was one of the best shows, miniseries I've ever seen as far as quality wise. It's so disturbing and just like turned your stomach just knowing that this actually happened. But from directing and cinematography and the script and the performances, this is an excellent show. Seriously, check this out if you have not. Just know going in that it's pretty fucking disturbing. There's some imagery in there that will turn your stomach, like I said. I love Planet Earth 2. I just picked this up, actually, Blue Planet 2. And then I also have Life on Blu-ray, which I wish got a 4K release. But any of these, like, nature, like, good nature, these BBC Earth documentaries or whatever you want to call them, these are awesome. They fucking look incredible. Planet Earth 2 on 4K might be the best looking disc I've ever seen. My wife and I just love watching these shows and watching like people fucking filming nature. It's so cool, especially in this one where like there's a lizard on a beach and he's like getting chased by a bunch of snakes and you're like, dude, fucking haul ass. So much fun watching that. I love these shows. All right, we got Primal, which is made by the guy who made Samurai Jack. I did watch a couple episodes of the show. I really liked it. It's pretty fucking brutal. I gotta rewatch it though. First episode is pretty fucking upsetting. But I really liked it, and I gotta finish that. I might take that upstairs and watch it. And of course, last but not least, at least TV shows wise, I got Rick and Morty. I love Rick and Morty. Especially as like a movie buff, a movie fan. There's just so many references to movies in this show that I just love it. Anytime they like make a reference to one, I'm like, hey, I'm like Captain America. I'm like, hey, I understood that reference. It's just such fun show and short episodes is what I love. All right, guys, ending the video on my box sets, my collector's editions, all the big boys. We're bringing them out for the end. So first up, we're doing the Friday the 13th collector's edition. This has all the Friday the 13th movies from the first one all the way up to the remake from 2009, including Freddy vs. Jason. I did do my top 10 Friday the 13th movies, so go check that video out if you haven't yet. I love this set. It's beautiful. I wish more horror franchises got sets like that. We got Ben-Hur. This is the Ultimate Collector's Edition. Movie as epic as Ben-Hur. Needs a big-ass box set like this, so this thing is pretty fucking massive, pretty heavy. Got some books in there detailing the making of the movie and everything, so that's really awesome. I also have a similar box set for Casablanca. I actually watched Casablanca for the first time about a year ago, I'd say. And I get pretty nervous watching like movies that define Hollywood, like Casablanca, Godfather, Citizen Kane, like all these movies that are like classic cinema, because it's like, are they going to hold up? And Casablanca definitely holds up. This movie was incredible. It has probably one of my favorite scripts of all time. Like every word out of a character's mouth, I was just like waiting for the next one because I'm like, this is some of the best dialogue I've ever heard. Like everything is so witty and snappy, but in a good way. Performances are all fantastic. It's a really good movie. Please check it out if you have not. Casablanca, like fucking classic for a reason. Oh boy, big one. Lawrence of Arabia. I love showing this off in videos. This is a big bastard for an epic movie, which apparently we're getting a 4K of, but I'm still keeping this because this is incredible. you know, Lawrence of Arabia, I don't have anything else to say about it. It's one of the best movies ever made. Speaking of best movies ever made, oh yeah, I did pick up the collector's edition of The Godfather on 4K, Godfather trilogy, I should say, on 4K. So this thing is, I fucking love it. So you got this little piece of paper there. I gotta set this down for a second because it's actually bigger than you think. So you got this awesome book. Kind of goes through all the details of the movie. You got some screenshots in there. That's fucking cool. I love it. Anything talking about how the making of Godfather is, it's awesome. You got these stills, these or pictures, I should say. You got the first one, Marlon Brando there. You got Robert De Niro from the second one, and you got Al Pacino from the third one. These are pretty cool. Put those back in there. And actually, the discs are kind of in sleeves in the book like that. So, yeah, part two, on 4K. Got a bonus disc here, bonus disc. You got Godfather Coda, which is part 3 on 4K. So I already own it on Blu-ray, and then of course the first one gets its own little page. That's awesome. The first one is my favorite. Some would say the second is the best one, but I just think the first one is a tighter film. So this set, when I heard they were releasing The Godfather on 4K, I was like, I need whatever collector edition they're bringing out. I need it. And last, but certainly not least, we got, show this off in my last video, or collection video, 50 film collection, Best of Warner Brothers. This thing is awesome. I'm so happy to have this. So it opens like that. I don't know if you guys can even see this, but anyways. So it opens like that. Yeah, this little book. Yep, some books, some pictures and stuff in there. And then you got 2 volumes here. And the movies, just like that. So, yeah, fucking heavy. So, you got the 2 volumes, 25 films on each one. And they go from order of release date. So, Volume 1 has the older movies, and Volume 2 has the more newer movies. So, Volume 1, I'm going to read these to you guys, so hold on. So Volume 1 has Grand Hotel, Mutiny on the Bounty, The Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, The Maltese Falcon, Mrs. Miniver, Casablanca, The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, A Streetcar Named Desire, An American in Paris, Singing in the Rain, Gigi, North by Northwest, Ben-Hur, How the West Was Won, Dr. Zhivago, Cool Hand Luke, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Bullet, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Dirty Harry, A Clockwork Orange, The Exorcist, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and Superman the Movie. All those movies are in that one volume. And then in the second volume, we have The Shining, Chariots of Fire, Risky Business, Amadeus Director's Cut, The Color Purple, Lethal Weapon, Full Metal Jacket, Driving Miss Daisy, Goodfellas, Unforgiven, The Bodyguard, Natural Born Killers, Director's Cut, The Shawshank Redemption, The Matrix, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, all 3 Lord of the Rings movies, $1 Million Baby, The Departed, The Dark Knight, The Hangover, The Blind Side, Sherlock Holmes, and Inception. All those movies are in here as well. Look at this. This thing's so fucking cool. Like, look at that. You got a little timeline here. I fucking love this set. This might be my favorite thing I own, and I own the fucking Godfather Collector's Edition. But like, look at that. You got Lord of the Rings. Goddamn, that's so cool. You got all the timeline here. July 1st, 2004, Marlon Brando dies at age 80. Like, that has nothing to do with Lord of the Rings, but it's like cool that like there's got a timeline there. That's awesome. So this thing's incredible. It's probably my favorite thing I own in this entire collection. So, oh, anyways, guys, those are all my movies. Some of my TV shows that I own. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm going to share with you guys the total number of movies that I own, not including the TV shows that I talked about. Those are kind of just like little cherry on top for you guys because I like you guys. So combining all my movies, I'm only including a movie once. So if I have multiple copies, only including it once on the list. I have, you guys guessed earlier, I have 1,215 individual movies. That is like one copy of each movie. 1,215 movies. I'm gonna have to go back into my second collection video and see how many I had then, and just see how many I've accumulated over the past year. But that's a fuck ton of movies, guys. But it is my hobby. I love collecting movies. I love watching movies. You guys have known this. And I appreciate you guys sticking around. If you watch this entire video, you're fucking nuts. What the hell is the matter with you? But I love you anyway. So, guys, I'm going to go eat some food, drink a lot of water because my throat is killing me right now from talking so much. And then I'm going to go edit this thing. But I'm glad you guys stuck around if you have watched the entire thing. And hopefully I'll see you guys soon with a couple of top 10 videos. I do have a couple ideas floating around in my noggin. So just got to get them onto camera and into editing. So like I said, guys, I appreciate you guys sticking around with this channel, and also please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not. And as always, see you next time.